Now this is a story all about how.
Where did we start?
Well,
it was a dark and stormy night.
For starters, she pretended she didn't want me for months. But we fast forward. So when I met her, she was working as a bartender, and I was a business owner.
2016.
Was that the magical year? Gotcha.
A year after I moved to Florida, specifically to find Travis.
She literally did the whole thing where you write your name on a piece of paper, burn it, throw it into the fire.
Almost. I did write a list of everything that I needed in a man and all the things that I would not accept ever again. And Trav came and blew that list out of the water.
That sounded accurate, but...
Before that, I ignored him on Tinder.
Was it Tinder?
I don't know.
I think it was real life.
I ignored him in real life. I ignored him on Tinder. But then, he got my attention, we got together, the world was great again.
Her first words to me, "Can you move?"
I wasn't healed back then.
So needless to say, I'm Travis.
Tatiana. We're gonna fumble through this because here's the issue with why I haven't even started a YouTube in so long. Like, where do you start? There's so many parts of us, there's so many parts of our journey. How do you get that out in video? You know, that's what we're here to figure out, I guess. So, fast forward to, we have the most wonderful relationship, actually. And things are great. We decide to have a baby. She is perfect. And maybe this is how we can tie in kind of where we're at with things. Because I think that's when we actually decided again that entrepreneurship is obviously the only way, but you know, Travis was working 12-hour days, 6 days a week at the time, and that is no condition to raise a family. So we realized, although we were in entrepreneurship and you know, things were really great, you know, money was great and everything, but time wasn't great. And you know, we were stuck to a certain location, and there were just many things that had us trapped rather than free, which led us to having to make some big decisions and decide, you know, how we really want life to be and do the things we have to do to make it that way.
Well, cutting back, Tatiana always did work from home. Through pregnancy, first couple years of our daughter's lives, and then it became more of a kind of lost where we wanted to be, what the goal was. We were so wrapped up. I mean, this all happened. I mean, our daughter turned 1 right as COVID started. Her birthday party was right before COVID, and well, the shutdown of COVID anyway. And so that just made the mindset a little more blurred because nobody knew what to expect at the very beginning.
We had to survive.
It was more of a survival thing than it was prep, even though looking back on it,
it was for the best. It worked out in our favor for sure. We did everything we had to do to make sure it worked in our favor, but
like many things in life, you learn your lesson of how you should approach things after the fact. Now, like again, it's not that we regret anything. It's just now it's a lesson to be learned. It's education, which is ultimately why we are going to be putting out more videos to help people who want to succeed, who want to be doing things that touch them or speak to them more than just clocking into a 9 to 5. And so going back to where we were after our daughter was born and turned 1, it was COVID. Nobody knew how to really go about anything for the majority of the first 3 to 6 months of COVID. So yeah, while we were surviving, as we were still making money, we had to adapt to things. We came up with new ways to make money on the side just because we didn't know how long it was going to last. We didn't know how serious it was going to be. Turns out there was a lot of things that didn't need to be as strict as they were or whatever. But past that, we're here to shed light on our experience and spread knowledge on those that want to be on the same path as us to success and create an easy life for them and their family moving forward.
Yeah, and I really like our COVID testimony because it just shows, and this is how I've always tried to live my life, but like in hard times, you have to figure out how to make them work for you. And, you know, if we just would have succumbed to all the fear and shut down, like I feel like most people did, instead of kind of getting scrappy and figuring out how to use all of the shutdowns and everything to our advantage. Now, don't get me wrong, I had postpartum depression really bad. I did not thrive through COVID. I don't know if any of us did, but we were able to make sure our family was very comfortable, and for the most part, the situation did work out for the best for as far as we can control. We do live in Florida, so it wasn't like full shutdown, but it still limited so much of our access to so many things, as obviously we all know.
Which is crazy because the rest of the world and especially our country just thought Florida was the wild, wild west. I mean, yeah. I mean, the officials in Florida did make it seem that everything was okay to do everything. But I will say this, if we didn't have the officials we did, a lot more businesses would have closed in the state of Florida, especially the small mom and pop businesses, like many had to in other states because they just didn't have revenue coming in, period. So I'm not saying that certain officials are better than others. I'm just saying that we were very fortunate that we lived in climate conditions that allowed us to have a little bit less harsh restrictions, and our officials made the judgment call. And for the most part, it seemed that it turned out okay. I mean, everybody started moving here. So why
don't you tell them about our small business? Because I think that would make sense in like how it survived through COVID and everything.
The main one?
Yeah.
So we deal in collectibles, and it was mainly focused on sports cards, sports memorabilia, and gaming cards such as Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. So growing up, I was always into community-based things. And for those that don't understand card games, they're really no different than someone getting together and playing board games or playing cards at their house. It's just a different type. So basically, sports cards and memorabilia were always part of my childhood, and so were playing cards. And it just so happened that during COVID, the big boom happened again for them. So a lot of people were going through their personal stuff because you had nothing but time on your hands for the most part. And people were looking through their collections and just got the interest peaked again. And the tide kind of shifted. It went from a collecting commodity to an investment. I still don't preach them as investments. I understand that they have appreciated, and your chance of opening a pack out of a card and it going up in value, or speculating to put money into a card and it going up in value, or a piece of memorabilia. It really hasn't been any different than a piece of art or a nice watch. It's really all just tied to, like anything collectible, what somebody is willing to be selling it for and what they're willing to accept a payment for in the amount of X dollars. So when COVID happened, we got shut down.
This is a retail store, by the way. This is not like an online shop. This is a physical retail location.
We've been open since 1991. We're the third owner. I used to visit the store in the mid-90s when I was just 5 years old, 6 years old. My brother was the manager of the store back then. And we took over in late 2011, early 2012. So, you fast forward again to COVID in 2020. We still never did any online. We don't do online sales. We still don't do online sales. We want to make sure that we're a community-based business, and we want people to have access to the products that they want locally rather than have to worry about it getting lost in transit, stolen from the neighbor, or whatever the case may be. You walk in our store, we have it. That's what we're known for. But during COVID, because we didn't have an online presence, it really created a scare of, people can't come in. We had signs on our door that the local law enforcement on the early stages of COVID, we could not accept walk-in traffic. This was before the 6 feet distance and the small amount of people per in the unit at a time. But then we really had to hunker down, and my brother decided to make a website, and we went through all of our inventory and put a good chunk of the stuff on there for browsable stuff. And if we hadn't made that pivot as well, we probably wouldn't have survived and would have had to close. So it wasn't necessarily just the local officials and state officials that gave Florida more freedom than others. It was really us making the pivot to, hey, what can we do? Because at the end of the day, we sold pretty much the same stuff that a lot of big box retailers do, and they were getting away with being dubbed essential businesses to operate, and we just thought that was unfair.
And we had to start getting creative with how to get the product in people's hands.
Correct.
Because they couldn't just come browse in the store anymore.
Yeah. So much like delivery services that were allowed, we had people and we're paying people to make deliveries. So they couldn't come by, but if your order was over a minimum threshold that we required, because we did have to pay people for it, you placed the order online, selected the delivery option, and we had people go and deliver the product to you. And it was touch free, of course. We were safe, following the guidelines that were given back then, and we were able to help a lot of people. So a lot of people thought that was maybe a greedy thing, but if you don't know me or you don't know us personally, you don't understand why the motives are what they are. So rather than see it as we're just looking for a dollar, or people were struggling financially through COVID and we're trying to get their dollar, you might miss at the fact that I also mentioned this was a gathering thing. So people still lived together, right? You had roommates, you had housemates, you had family members, etc. This was a way for people to not go crazy in their own house as well. So you're opening cards, you're doing things. People found ways to break this stuff online and make their own money. They would open the contents, break open the packs, sell the contents, or sell you the pack, break open the contents for you, and then send you the cards. So it was just actually like a wheel of...
It's like a wheel of innovation.
Endless supply for people to find a way to still collect in that market. So we were very fortunate that we also saw a boom along with the market, and it kind of just exploded. Very fortunate. There's not much I can say other than that. I mean, yeah, we got lucky to be in that area. I know a lot of people...
I would say blessed. Let's not chalk that up to luck. We made it work, and we're very blessed and fortunate for it.
But a lot of people did close, and we are very fortunate to be on the right side of where we needed to be.
And also we're able to like make the pivots and not like crumble when the pressure's on, but actually like put on our thinking caps, because that's what entrepreneurs do, and you find a way. And things aren't always going to be easy and favorable and work in your favor, but that's what makes, certain entrepreneurs and businesses stand out from the others, is you still have to find a way to make it work for you, or figure out when to pivot, know when to pivot, rather than staying stuck or just going downhill because you're just succumbing to the fact that all these things are happening around you. I mean, at least anybody that I follow and aspire to learn from, like that could not be their mentality, which is why they are where they are today. That usually comes from some type of, I'm not looking for trauma, what word am I looking for? Some type of, I don't know, just a big life event. It's always something bad, something big, something that like could be negative that you have to figure out how to flip in a positive way, or at least make your own way through it, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if life is only ever going great and there's no bumps in the road, then everybody would be on the same path, and there wouldn't be much of a desire to strive for more. Like you do have to come down from the cloud nine and realize that these events are going to happen. Not necessarily saying COVID, but you have to adapt to what your business needs. I mean, every business is going to have slow seasons. Every business is going to have peak seasons. Every business is going to need to make pivots into trying something new. So we're here to basically just shed light on our story and shed light on the process of the new transformation and road that we're going down, because we've already have all the tools in place, the seeds have been planted, and now you guys are going to get to go along with us and see how everything sprouts.
Oh, that's so fun. Yeah. So, first video together. This is going to get a lot better. We'll have more of a structure. I'm just trying to build the muscle, which is something that I talk about a lot, and I will continue to talk about a lot, because that's how you get better at everything. And also, sometimes you just have to start. You know, I don't really know where this start is. Honestly, like, full transparency, I've been begging, and also haven't done the work, but I've been like begging to make this video for literally weeks. But when there's so much, like, honestly, that was the littlest blip of our story, of the lessons that we learned, of the things that we believe in.
Oh yeah, you'd need like 2 days for us to go over everything.
So like, where do you start?
We didn't even mention her story to Florida. She
at
just
all.
told you she moved.
So, you know, we'll get into all that, but we wanted to give you kind of an origin, overall story of like who we are, why we are here, maybe some of our credibility, but that was, yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited because I feel like we've learned really cool life lessons along the way, and we now have some really awesome mentors in our corner to help us learn more and
life
help
coaches.
us, and make the pivots necessary and become the people that we need to be in order to have all the, you know, goals and aspirations that we do have. So we are here to share that journey with you because it is so much from so many angles, and you have to start somewhere.
Now, mind you, I'm not a camera person.
Yes,
so
you are.
I am, but like
he's so good in the camera.
I'm a millennial, but like you wouldn't think that I'm a millennial because I am a live in the moment guy. I don't like taking my phone out to record things. I don't like recording things for other people for the most part.
Before he met me, he literally was never on a camera. At the time, I've always been in...
What do you mean before the time? You still are.
Yeah, no, forever. I've always been like online. I very much like lived all of my life online since MySpace, whatever year that was, and I was in like middle school going to high school or something. So I've always been into it, but in the beginning of our relationship, I was looking for new ways to pivot and just moved to Florida, and I started a blog and like, you know, being on Instagram more, and I turned him into a total like Instagram husband. He learned photography. He's really good at angles.
But here's the thing, and one thing that shouldn't get unnoticed, and this is probably what I'm blessed the most for, I would say that a lot of my success is tied to not being on in social media specifically. I shouldn't say the internet because I should have been putting videos out through my whole journey, but again, I was never camera person first, so my mind wasn't pivoting or working in that way throughout the whole process of how I grew the business, how we grew the business, how she grew her business, how we grew her business. And I say it like that because before each other, we had our own things, and then we grew together within them. So let me just make that clear. So not being on social media like that, I wasn't doom scrolling. I wasn't just posting a bunch of memes. I wasn't focusing on things that didn't matter. I had my head down, head up, focus, laser locked.
Let's actually talk about that real quick, because before we met, we were very much like on entrepreneurial journeys, but had very different paths for them and different visions. And I want you to talk a little bit about your mindset before you met me. Like, you had this plan and how I completely disrupted that.
Yeah. So nonetheless, I was single. I was 19 years old, and I had a business opportunity with my brother to start this business, and I got a phone call one day and jumped on it. So like I said earlier in the video, I went to this business as a kid, 5-6 years old. My brother was the manager back then, and got the phone call, and I was happy to do it. So starting out, it was a little rough. I mean, I was putting in a lot of sweat equity, as a business owner does when you first start a buess, or you
also
should
were
anyway.
The sole operator at the time.
Correct. So my brother had a corporate job, so the 90% of the responsibility fell on me, whereas the financial probably fell more on him in this beginning. So we were only making like low 5 figures a year, and then fast forward a couple years after hunkering down, I would say after 2 years, we were easily into the lower six-figure portion, and then this is where I started to create my plan. And so again, I'm about 21 at this point, and my goal was, and I was still single, my goal was to hunker down, keep that laser focus, stockpile money, put it where I could to try and make money on the side, with like little investments. And I wanted to retire by 35. So I never had the goal to just work forever. I had a set date, I had a set age, I was ready to do it.
But there was a long, like, what was that, 15-year period that he was like, I'm going to not be involved in the world. I'm going to focus on my business. Like, he didn't plan on meeting women. Like, he wasn't even talking to women when I met him for years. I mean, we're not just talking months. He had actually done the work of putting his head down and figuring out his business and making that his literal only priority for years. And that was going to be the next 15 years as well, which I'm not saying is a bad plan at all, but that was the goal and the plan.
Yeah, and I mean, I was always in situations where, like, I was hanging out with people, but I just changed the group of people. Predominantly only hung out with people older than me, so when I did do the things where I was going to sporting events or just went to hang out at the local pub or restaurant to watch a basketball game and get something to eat, or a football game, like, yeah, I did do those. But like she said, I wasn't focusing on having a relationship or focusing on having a family. I was still very much adamant on hitting my 35-year-old goal, because I knew that I could make enough money, and I was willing to bet on myself to make enough money that when I were to retire at that age, and I'm only 33 now, and I'm already ready there. So anything that I do from here is just going to be passive income related. So I want to be fully online. I fully want to be helping people from behind a camera and possibly in person. So those things are all to come, and we'll get into those later. But as far as my journey goes, like, yeah, I was very much head down, laser locked. I'm still that way because I still have work to do. And just because you hit a growth or you hit a goal or you hit a checkpoint, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have higher hopes or higher expectations or higher goals. You should constantly be elevating your list the whole way through. If you stopped when you hit the finish line, then other people are going to run past you before the next finish line. So I'm very thankful that whatever programmed me to be that way, it worked out. Rising tides lift all boats. If you don't believe in that, we're not for you. That's what we believe in. There's no reason to only be the one on the yacht. Like, help everybody get a yacht. I mean, there are going to be people that don't want the yacht. Great. I don't have anything. Have a boat still.
If you want, yeah.
It could be the one that you play with in the tub with your kid. Have a boat, one way or another.
That's funny. I feel like that's one of, like, the hardest lessons I've had to learn over the past few years, is being okay with everybody's own journey, because they're all going to be different, and we need everybody on different levels of their journey and that want different things. Otherwise, the world would only be like one level, which doesn't make any sense.
You have so much more potential. Why aren't you capturing it?
That's the worst thing. You know somebody has potential and they don't even want to step
me with a camera.
Literally. All right. I feel like we're just rambling now.
No, but to wrap this video up, as we said, this is our journey.
And there's going to be a lot more.
Oh, absolutely.
We're fumbling forward to figure out how to tell our story, and it's all going to come together beautifully.
This is our big journey starting point to what's next.
Can I also just say that we have... Sorry. Because before you get into the big... I'm sorry. I know, that was very... sorry. But
Kanye West over here.
I feel like it's important, and I don't know, maybe it was almost like a rite of passage, but like we have lived well below our means for a while we had like our head down, focusing on growing and learning and really like getting ourselves on the right path. So I feel like in this new era of life that we are finally kind of ready to step into, we are finally ready to step into, we've decided that we have new standards, and you know, what used to be our floor is no longer existent. Our floor has raised and the ceiling is infinite. And that's just a whole different mindset than where we've been the past few years. This wonderful place that got us here. But what's going to take us to the next level really is raising our floor. And even like we've been going to some like events and these different things locally. And we just realized that we are no longer willing to live below our means when it comes to like enjoying our time, because we've worked so hard to get to where we are that we deserve to, you know, go to a theme park and not be waiting in the longest lines. And, you know, we can splurge on Disney passes and then getting the extra lightning lane pass and just stuff to like make the day enjoyable instead of making it cheap and just getting through it, you know, as best we can. And that's been a huge game changer, because now it's funny how when you decide to upgrade your life in any capacity and then you start taking the steps to do it, everything else around you also falls in line. Correct. And does the same. And then we're just going to continue to raise that floor and obviously like do it responsibly. And there's, you know, we can get in the spiritual side of that, the tactical side of that, but that's where this next level is going. And we're finally going to start making like a purchase that feels relevant to our growth, and things are going to start changing. We are going to start changing, and I'm really excited to have you here for it. I think, why did I start that?
Because I was going to tell you how excited we were about what you can expect next from us, so we can show you things along the journey. Now, this isn't a flex. It's not going to be we have something that others don't, because these are just things that you will learn that we are appreciative of. And if you put in the work and you're willing to follow along, and you follow her courses, or you follow my courses, or you follow her information and you follow my information,
and ours together,
you can grow. So needless to say,
that's what the next video should probably be about, like our magic. Sorry, I get so excited.
Needless to say, when you're ready, I have an awesome quote.
When I'm okay, I think I'm ready.
So we're gonna wrap this up. Are you sure you're done?
Yeah.
So needless to say, all success that you want in your life, you have to be a part of. And you have to do the work. You have to want to do the work. You have to be willing to do the work. Here's one of my favorite quotes that I came across. Make your floor greater than most people's ceilings.
That's so good.
Yeah. So.
Yes. And that's a cool way to, I love the analogy of like looking at the floor and the ceiling, because that's just explaining like the minimum of what you're willing to accept, or what you're willing to do, or what you're willing to have in your life. That's your floor. And, you know, our minimum standards are very much a lot of people's ceilings. They're striving standards. And if you keep raising that floor and that ceiling, again, everything around you will do the same.
Yep.
I love that quote. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, on that note, what do the cool kids say? Like and subscribe. Hit the bell. Do the stuff. We're going to get better at this.
Follow along. Or else you won't be in our MySpace top 8.
Bye.